Episode 77. It turns out Cosmo was the only baby that could be grown from the tree, and it turns out Earthia is getting weaker, and she's her last child. Why is she getting weaker? How did they all come from a tree that's their mother when they're not trees, and there's only one tree mother? That's not how biology works. They'd all become trees eventually, even if they somehow weren't trees when they were born. Their DNA would have to completely morph for them to go from this to a tree, which looks like a completely different organism that's totally unrecognizable as it. Shadow rushes off, and the heroes follow him in the plains. Tails creates a rain tunnel to get Sonic to a crater-filled moon, and Sonic gets sent away by purple stuff. Tails and Amy get flung away too, and the biplane's made to crash. Come to think of it, the thing that used to be a Chaos Energy Spear is looking like a giant seed now. Knuckles complains that all the emeralds aren't working, and Eggman says there's a chance they could restore the power, but it'll take the energy of both their ships, rather than require them all to start cheering to restore their power. Like SA-1 and its adaptation clearly established. Logically, they should just cheer and Sonic would go super to save the day. But instead, it creates a continuity error. We see a wave of purple energy cause plant life to flourish all over the place, and for some reason all of the Sonic characters start feeling weak as a result, because Dark Oak's taking the life energy out of their bodies. Why is that required to spread plant life across the galaxy? Why can't they just magically generate plants, and that's it? Well, again, he's racist, so that's why he wants to get rid of non-plants. Because he has no exposure to non-plant life. Cosmo says she's immune to it because she's a Matrix too, so she says she'll take care of this. She says she'll take the emeralds to Eggman to restore their power. Normally that'd be a bad idea, trusting Eggman. She starts climbing the vine near the spaceship, and she ignores Dark Oak taunting her telepathically somehow. The vine she's on grabs her by the chest, and she loses the emeralds, of course. How incompetent is she? She barely does anything useful. She even lampshades how useless she is. That's apparently supposed to make it better. And she's a girl too. I never should have had any faith in her to not lose the emeralds. But to be fair, she said that if she used them, she'd go negative super form. I don't see why that wouldn't let her destroy Dark Oak though. Super forms aren't permanent, so she'd just have to wait until her super form ran out. The life force from the planets is responding to the emeralds, which is why the Sonic characters aren't losing energy anymore. Cosmo floats down, and suddenly the emeralds are back to full power to the point of being able to make Sonic and Shadow go super again. Huh? So the planet egg powered them back up just to be nice? I think I would have preferred if they got powered up from cheering, even though that was a stupid Deus Ex Machina as well. Though the planet eggs are at least magical, so they'd have magic to contribute. You know, geothermal energy could be seen as getting energy from the planet. The heroes fly around the seed. Eggman says the energy levels are starting to reverse and it's imploding. Dark Oak says that he's been prevented from transforming the galaxy, but if he can't rule it, he'll destroy it out of sheer suicidal spite. This came out of nowhere, considering how he was in his flashback, where he was just about winning the war and conquering. So he wants to destroy the universe now. So the pressure starts building fast. Chris thinks he's trying to crush the planet egg with gravity. Why doesn't Oak just not do that and keep living his life instead of doing something that'll guarantee his death? Eggman says he put special self-destruct switches in the robots, and he could send them off to break through the gravity field. And one of them says it'd take a huge amount of energy to break through. It's sweet of Chris to ask him not to do that plan, especially since his robots are actually pretty nice. So first off, if Eggman could always self-destruct them at will, why didn't he do that to Deco and Boko when they ditched him? Why didn't he do that to them in the comic when he fired them? And why didn't he do that to Bokoon when he went rogue? That's a continuity error. Also, it's unbelievable that he's telling them about these switches for the first time. You'd think they'd have always known about them to justify them not ditching him forever, which makes Deco and Boko ditching him for one measly episode even more dumb. Eggman reassures them all that he wouldn't self-destruct them because the explosion wouldn't be strong enough to penetrate the field anyways. So why even have him mention this if it's just gonna raise questions? That was filler. Sonic tells them that they need to throw all the energy they've got at the gravity field, so he tells them to launch him from the power cannon. Chris says the gravity field is so strong that the force would be too much for his body to take, even though he's an invincible super form. Why does he think he could avoid being sucked into the black hole and killed if he gets sent into it? It even sucks in light. The heroes turn down that plan since it could get Sonic killed. Isn't chaos energy magic? But if it could literally grant any wish, then Eggman would have wished to take over the world by now. Just that this would have been solved much more simply by simply casting a magic spell, but I guess that would be anticlimactic. Cosmo's amulet shines, and she's told that she can save the day, out of nowhere. She smiles and says that she can make peace in the galaxy herself, and she's always wanted peace, so that's been foreshadowed from the start. She starts conveniently floating, breaks apart her amulet, and flies. Yeah, with the non-existent wind in space making her skirt catch wind. Why is her appearance changing to look older? I thought when I came to this point in the story it would make sense. Like, if she turned super with a positive power of the emeralds. That would have made more sense than this. That would have made more sense than a random Deus Ex Machina. How does anyone take this seriously? She's perfectly happy to give up everything to save her friends. Good thing she's not too scared to die this time, when she could have jumped off a cliff earlier and was a coward the whole time she existed. Cosmo is told she can transform and conveniently pass through the gravity field with no explanation, and she could become like her tree mother, and conveniently bring new life to her planet. I guess that would make sense since she become the new tree, so that's how they get new trees. But why did they ever think their species was doomed, as if there would only ever be one tree? Wouldn't they know that they'd get another tree from experience, from past history? And if she'll become a potted plant later, and be with Tails, then her tree wouldn't sprout on her home planet. It would sprout on Mobius, so wouldn't that be counterproductive? But I guess they don't care about repopulating their particular planet. So it would restore her clan on the wrong planet. Cosmo says she has Dark Oak immobilized, and Tails looks horrified and says that if she says not to worry, he has to trust her. And he looked horrified for a while at the idea of firing the power cannon at Cosmo, which is somehow expected to repopulate her clan. Wait, she just appeared! If she just fades in, she's a ghost! So how can a ghost get hit with a cannon and spread seeds? In the Japanese version, he took forever to do this, and took a while freaking out and crying. I can't blame them for cutting out some of it, since after all, this is depressing enough. We don't need to see the writers torturing Tails with how heartbroken he is at this unnecessarily dark element. Though it's not nearly as depressing as I expected, since Cosmo's such a boring, whiny character who really is more of a load than anything. Technically, the heroes are better off. She's just Antoine again. She barely ever gave Tails any sweet moments, so it's not like she was constantly kissing him. Tails even says she's his friend, not his girlfriend. So what was the point of shipping them? Tails says he doesn't want to lose her, but he'd lose Sonic if he didn't because he's the only other option. Tails unrealistically talks all calmly about the fact that he knows this is the right thing to do and says goodbye perfectly calmly before firing the cannon. It's definitely more realistic in the Japanese version, but at least it's not dragging out him being sad for an eternity. I was very surprised that the episode actually ended there. We don't even see her become a tree and bring her clan back. That felt rushed. Apparently, the dub cut out entire scenes after this. There was a scene where she comforted Tails as a ghost, or maybe he was dreaming about her. I read that there was a scene where Chris went home, even though that doesn't make any sense considering what we were told earlier. Oh right, there was one point where Tails was crying because of what he did, and Sonic went up to him holding the seed that was all that was left of her, which... because Sonic somehow used Chaos Regeneration to get the seed, because of a bullshit Deus Ex Machina power out of nowhere. If he can get the seed, why can't he just get Cosmo back at that point? And Tails hugged Sonic and was upset with him for not being able to save her. And I was completely baffled that Sonic never thought to hug Tails back. Though with him being an antisocial in the show who constantly stays apart from his friends to a baffling extent, his lack of social skills has been so firmly established at this point in Sonic X that it makes sense. I guess he didn't want to embarrass him? But the problem is that he hugged Amy back every time she hugged him. So why the hell did he not hug Tails too? There's no justifying that. It was just bad animation and writing. They're supposed to be friends. I'm really confused that they cut all this out of the non-Japanese version. Things were sad enough as it was though. It felt so spiteful to Tails that they gave him a love interest just for him to be forced to kill her. And that's the luckiest he ever got with a girl, because she's still not Fiona. I was hoping when it came to this part of the anime, where Cosmo got all big and sacrificed herself, it would make sense. Instead, it comes completely out of nowhere that she's able to transform like this, and that being shot to death would magically turn her into a mother tree that could bring her clan back. How did she keep Dark Oak neutralized again? I could understand if she went super with the Chaos Emeralds, and she was in a good mood, so that would have made sense to not go wrong on her. We never knew that she was the last child born. We weren't told that she was the most important one of her kind that needed to be protected until the beginning of this very episode. And we didn't know that her amulet let her mother magically talk to her from beyond the grave until very recently. This writing sucks. I'm more confused than sad. At least she had a good voice and it was sweet of her to hold Tails and blush with him. But the fact that she was just his friend and never anything more really shocked and confused me after the love spell happened. The writers were too gutless to make them actually be in a relationship, when I always assumed they would make them start dating because that was what was built up to. And that's common sense! Instead, it's just there to make Tails especially sad about her when she died, when he would have been sad to lose her anyway since she's his friend. He even calls her his friend. Tails should get a girlfriend who actually is compatible with him, who could carry on a smart conversation with him and engineer with him for hours, instead of someone who does nothing but worry like Antoine and can't relate to him at all. So with all this in mind, it's very frustrating that he'll never have a better love interest than her. Though if she was a good love interest, it'd be even more frustrating that she got killed off. This is why people find it so sad, and this is why it's so unfair that she had to be killed off. Even if she survived, it wouldn't matter much because she'll always be trapped in Sonic X anyways and will never get to date Tails. Why did she have to be killed to bring back her clan and save the galaxy? That doesn't even make sense. We didn't see her explode into a bunch of planet seeds that would fall onto the planet's surface, which is what I always assumed we'd see when he fired the cannon. You'd think her being utterly destroyed would prevent her from doing anything after that, because she wouldn't be able to become a tree on her world, because there'd be nothing left of her. So that was just forced drama, because we're never told the logic behind it. Her needing to be sacrificed for the greater good is just as forced and confusing as it was when Locke had to be sacrificed. That was a terrible ending to the show. She could have just saved the day after going super and then been fine afterwards. But apparently they forgot that it was a kids show. They didn't have to write that Tails would be forced to kill Cosmo or else the galaxy would be destroyed. They really went darker with the tone in Season 3. And I like it for the most part, but come on, writing that wasn't necessary at all. Why did Cosmo need to die to spread her seeds? It's not even shown where the seeds land, so for all we know, all of them died in space anyways with no one to take care of them. That was such a stupid ending.